As I sit in my favorite armchair, the world outside my window seems to fade away. It's just me and the memories of my life with Tom, the man who promised to love me forever. But forever turned out to be a fleeting illusion. The day he left, me for a younger woman shattered my heart into a million pieces. I remember the conversation vividly. His words cut through me like a knife, and I felt as if I were drowning in a sea of betrayal. I can't do this anymore, Claire. I need someone who understands me. Someone younger. The way he said it felt like a betrayal of every laugh we shared, every struggle we faced together, and every dream we built. I never imagined I would be sitting here, alone, grappling with the reality of his departure. But there's something he doesn't know. A secret I've kept buried beneath the pain. Control. I control his retirement fund. As the realization dawns on me, I wonder how this power will shape my next steps. Will I use it to retaliate? Or will I find a way to rise above this heartache? The bitterness of his betrayal still lingers in my chest, but within that bitterness lies a flicker of hope. I take a moment to breathe deeply, letting the silence envelop me, and reflect on the years we spent together. I can almost hear the echoes of our laughter in the kitchen, the clinking of glasses during our late-night talks, and the soft whispers of comfort during hard times. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow, I've saved something extra special for you. I remember the way Tom used to squeeze my hand when he was nervous and how I would reassure him that everything would be okay. But now, that same hand feels empty. The memories swirl around me like autumn leaves caught in a gentle breeze. And for a brief moment, I'm lost in them. I remember how we met, at that quaint little bookstore on Maple Street, both reaching for the same copy of a novel. Our fingers brushed, and I felt a jolt of electricity. That was the beginning of my forever. Or so I thought. The dreams we built, together, were supposed to last a lifetime. We talked about traveling the world, visiting places we only read about in magazines. We imagined our retirement, sipping coffee on sunlit porches, surrounded by the laughter of grandchildren. But now, those dreams feel tainted, like a faded photograph that no longer captures the vibrancy of what once was. As I sit in this armchair, I can't help but wonder about the woman he left me for. What does she have that I don't? Youth? Beauty? Or is it simply the allure of something new? It's a question that gnaws at me. But as I replay our life together, I realize that the true betrayal isn't just his departure, it's the way he seemed to forget the love that had once bound us. I stand up, moving toward the window, and gaze out at the world beyond. The sun is setting, casting a golden hue over the neighborhood. I can see the young couples walking hand in hand, the laughter of children playing in the park, and for a moment, I envy their simplicity. But then, I remember that I've faced challenges far greater than a broken heart. I've built a life, a legacy that goes beyond just me and Tom. The thought of controlling his retirement fund gives me a strange sense of empowerment. It's a realization that perhaps I can take charge of my own destiny, even if he thinks he's left me powerless. I wonder how he would react if he knew that I had the upper hand all along. Would he regret his choice? Would he come crawling back, begging for forgiveness? The fantasy of it makes me smile, but I quickly remind myself that I'm stronger than that. I think about the years I spent supporting him, investing in his dreams as much as my own. I sacrificed my own ambitions for his career, believing that our love would sustain us through anything. But now, I see that love alone isn't enough when trust is shattered. With every passing moment, I replay our life together. Our laughter, our struggles, the dreams we built. I never imagined I would be sitting here, alone, grappling with the reality of his departure. Yet, I realize that I have the power to redefine what my life looks like from this point forward. The bittersweet irony of my situation begins to sink in. I've spent so many years supporting someone else's dreams, and now it's time to focus on my own. I can either let this betrayal consume me, or I can rise from the ashes of my heartache and reclaim my life. I walk back to my armchair, feeling a surge of determination. I will not be a victim of this situation. Instead, I will turn the page on this chapter of my life and write my own story. But how do I begin? What steps do I take to reclaim my identity? As I ponder these questions, I catch a glimpse of my reflection in the window. The lines on my face tell stories of wisdom and resilience, and I remind myself that I am not just Claire, Tom's wife. I am Claire, a woman with dreams and ambitions that go beyond what he could ever understand. I take a deep breath, feeling the weight of my decision settle in. It's time to confront the reality of what's next. My heart is still heavy, but I can feel the flicker of hope growing stronger. I often find myself wandering back to the early days of my marriage with Tom. The air was thick with promise, and our small house felt like the center of our universe. We painted the walls together, choosing colors that were a reflection of who we were. Sunny yellows that filled the rooms with warmth and calming blues that wrapped around us like a soft embrace. I can almost smell the fresh paint, the laughter echoing through those walls, as we danced around brushes and paint cans, dreaming of everything life had in store for us. It's strange how a palette of colors can capture so much hope. With every stroke, we were building our future, one brush at a time. In those moments, I believed our love could conquer anything. Yet, as the years melted into a routine, the vibrancy of those early days began to fade. Life became a series of responsibilities, bills to pay, errands to run, and endless obligations that consumed our time and energy. I stood by Tom as he climbed the corporate ladder, thinking that supporting him was my way of showing love. Did I lose myself in the process? I wonder. I remember those evenings we spent on the couch, both exhausted from our long days. Tom would talk about his achievements, the promotions, and the accolades rolling in. I listened, beaming with pride, yet feeling a sense of emptiness creeping in. I had put my own dreams on hold, convinced that love meant sacrifice. Did we truly build a legacy together, or was I merely a footnote in his success story? The house, once filled with laughter, grew quiet. It became a museum of memories, each room holding echoes of our past. The kitchen where we cooked together, the bedroom where we shared secrets and dreams, and the living room where we celebrated life's little victories. But as Tom flourished, I felt myself becoming a shadow, fading further into the background. I see now how the cracks began to form, like tiny fissures in a once sturdy dam. The cracks widened with each passing year, and I often found myself grappling with a familiar ache. I tried to fill the silence with activities, gardening, volunteering, anything to reclaim a sense of purpose. Yet, the more I tried, the more alienated I felt from Tom. His world was expanding while mine seemed to shrink. There was a moment, one rainy afternoon, when the clouds hung low and heavy. I stood by the window, watching the raindrops race down the glass. It hit me then, like a blinding flash. I had become a caretaker of his dreams while neglecting my own. What legacy had we built if I was the one left behind? The thought was suffocating. I often replay that moment in my mind, the realization that I had sacrificed so much for a love that felt increasingly one-sided. I was proud of Tom, yes, but I couldn't help but feel a sense of loss creeping in. The very foundation we built together was cracking, and I was left to ponder what I had given up in the name of love. Tom would come home late some nights, his laughter ringing through the halls, a sound that felt foreign to me. I would wait, the kitchen dimly lit, a pot of his favorite stew simmering on the stove. He'd walk in, his face bright with stories of success and new ventures. I'd smile, but inside I felt a growing chasm. Did he even notice? Did he see how I was slowly fading? How my laughter was becoming a mere echo of what it used to be? As I reminisce about those days, I feel a mixture of nostalgia and regret. The memories are sweet, yet tainted with the bitterness of what could have been. I wonder if I should have been more vocal about my own aspirations. Would it have changed anything? Or would it have simply pushed him further away? Every corner of this house carries a fragment of us, a snapshot of our journey. The worn-out sofa where we once snuggled for movie nights now feels like a chasm separating two strangers. I can't shake the feeling that I have become an observer of my own life, watching as Tom chased his dreams while mine lay dormant, tucked away in the recesses of my heart. At times, I catch myself staring at the walls we painted together, the colors now dulled with time. What did we create here? Was it a home, or merely a stage for the performances of our lives? I grapple with these thoughts, feeling the weight of my choices pressing down on me like a heavy blanket. In trying to support Tom, I lost sight of my own identity. I became a caretaker of his dreams, but at what cost? I wonder if he sees the woman I used to be, the one who dreamed just as fiercely as he did. Or have I become a ghost in the very house we built together? There's a bittersweet beauty in nostalgia, but it also serves as a harsh reminder of the paths we choose. I look around, feeling the echoes of laughter that once filled these rooms, and wonder if I can ever reclaim the vibrant colors of my own dreams. I didn't just lose Tom, I lost myself along the way. As I sit in silence, the weight of my choices heavy on my shoulders, I ask myself, what does it mean to build a legacy? Is it merely about success and accolades? Or is it about nurturing the dreams that make us whole? In this moment of reflection, I realize that the answers lie not just in the past, but in the choices I will make moving forward. The journey of self-discovery often begins with the courage to confront uncomfortable truths. I may have given so much of myself to Tom, but perhaps it's time to reclaim the pieces I left behind. Shall I continue? The day Tom left was like a thunderstorm rolling in unexpectedly. I remember standing in the kitchen, the aroma of our favorite dish filling the air. The comforting scent of rosemary and garlic was supposed to wrap us in warmth, but instead it hung heavy, as if the universe knew what was about to unfold. When he walked in, he looked different. His jaw was set, and his eyes, usually soft with love, were hard and distant. "Tom, you're home early," I called out, trying to infuse some lightness into the moment. But the tension was palpable, thick like the humidity before a storm. I thought maybe it was just work stress. We had been through tough times before, and I always believed we could weather any storm together. Then he dropped the bombshell. "I've met someone else, someone younger." His words sliced through the air with the precision of a knife, and time froze as I processed the betrayal. Did I hear him right? I could feel my heart racing, each beat echoing in my ears, drowning out everything else. Anger washed over me, followed closely by a wave of sadness and disbelief. I wanted to scream, to shake him out of this madness, but I was rooted to the spot, a statue of shock. "Tom, we've built a life together. What about our vows?" I pleaded, my voice cracking under the weight of my emotions. I thought he might reconsider, that maybe he'd see the hurt in my eyes and realize what he was throwing away. But he was resolute, his expression unyielding. "It's too late, Mary. I'm in love." In love? The word stabbed at me like a betrayal from the deepest part of my soul. I felt invisible, as if all those years together meant nothing. I stood there, heartbroken, as he walked out, leaving me with only the remnants of our life. Half-prepared dinner, an empty chair at the table, and a silence that felt suffocating. Watched him go, the door clicking shut behind him, sealing off the life we once shared. My hands trembled as I lowered myself into a chair, the warmth of the kitchen now feeling like a cruel joke. I could still smell the garlic, still see the vibrant colors of the meal I had prepared, but it all felt like a haunting reminder of what was lost. What do I do now? I couldn't fathom the reality of being alone after all these years. I felt like a ghost in my own home, wandering through memories that were now tinged with pain. The laughter we shared during countless dinners felt like echoes from another life. The pictures on the walls, once a testament to our love, now mocked me, each frame a reminder of the life I thought we had built together. I closed my eyes, trying to push away the images of his face, the way it had softened when he looked at me, now replaced by a stranger who had taken him away. My mind raced with the memories of our life, the holidays, the quiet nights spent wrapped in each other's arms, the dreams we had spun together like a tapestry of love. Had it all been a lie? I took a deep breath, feeling the sharpness of the betrayal cut deeper with each passing second. I had always believed that love was a fortress, something that could withstand the tests of time and temptation. Yet here I was, standing on the precipice of uncertainty, grappling with the reality that love, for Tom, had become a fleeting fancy. The storm outside began to brew, the wind howling as if it were echoing my turmoil. I could hear the first droplets of rain hitting the window, a relentless reminder of the chaos inside me. I felt the urge to scream, to let the world know that my heart was breaking. But instead I sat in silence, the tears pooling in my eyes. As the rain began to fall heavily, I thought about the life we had shared. The moments that had seemed so ordinary now felt monumental. I remembered the way Tom would hold my hand during long drives, the way he would laugh at my silly jokes, and the comfort of knowing he was always there. It felt like a lifetime ago. The sound of the rain became a backdrop to my thoughts, each drop a reminder of the tears I refused to shed. I needed to confront these feelings, to sift through the wreckage of my life and figure out how to move forward. But how? I couldn't allow myself to be consumed by bitterness. I had built a life, a legacy, and I needed to find a way to reclaim that. The thought of having to start over was terrifying. But deep down, I could feel a flicker of determination igniting. Maybe I could turn this pain into something powerful. I had spent years supporting Tom's dreams, but now it was time to focus on my own. What did I want? I began to think about the things I had shelved away. My passion for painting, the dreams of traveling, to places I had only read about. All those years, I had put my aspirations on hold for the sake of our marriage. In the back of my mind, I reminded myself of the retirement fund I had meticulously managed over the years. Tom had no idea that I had been the one to control it, to ensure our future was secure. What if I used that to build something new? The storm raged on outside, but I felt a shift within me. I might be heartbroken, but I was not defeated. I had the power to shape my own narrative, to rise from the ashes of this betrayal. As I sat in the dim light of the kitchen, I realized this could be a turning point, A chance to rediscover who I was without Tom. I wiped my tears and took a deep breath, the aroma of the unfinished dinner suddenly feeling like a call to action, rather than a reminder of loss. I might be alone now, but I wouldn't let this storm drown me. I had a choice to make. I would not just survive. I would thrive. As I began to think about the possibilities ahead, I could feel a sense of purpose creeping back into my heart, whispering promises of a future yet to be written. And for the first time that evening, I smiled through my tears, sitting alone in my quiet home. The silence wraps around me like a familiar blanket. The walls echo memories of laughter and love, but now they feel like a cage. I can almost hear the faint whispers of the life we built together, a life I thought would last forever. Reflecting on the secret I've held for so long, I find a strange sense of solace mixed with a bittersweet taste of empowerment. For years I managed my husband's retirement fund, something he never knew. I took pride in ensuring our financial future was secure, weaving a safety net that now feels like a double-edged sword. I never imagined I would be the one to hold the key to his financial security. But here I am, at a crossroads. Part of me wonders if this power could be a tool for revenge, a way to reclaim my life after he left me for a younger woman, while another part urges me to use it to forge a new path, one where I finally take control of my narrative. As I sift through the paperwork scattered on the dining table, statements, projections, numbers, I feel a rush of adrenaline. With every page I turn, I can almost hear my heartbeat echoing in the stillness. This isn't just about money. It's about my identity and reclaiming my agency after years of feeling invisible. I can feel the weight of years of hard work and sacrifices resting in my hands. It's not just a retirement fund, it's a testament to my resilience. What would it feel like to stand up and confront him with this knowledge? To remind him that while he sought youth and novelty, I was the one who planned for our future. I could be the architect of my own liberation, the master of my fate. The thought sends a shiver of excitement through me, igniting a spark I thought had long been extinguished. I remember the days when we were a team, working side by side to build our lives together. We made plans, dreams intertwined, and I was always there, supportive and committed. But somewhere along the way, I lost myself in the shadow of his ambitions. I let him take the lead, believing that his success was our success. Now, as I sift through the financial documents, I realize I made choices, conscious choices, to prioritize our future even when it felt like I was sacrificing my own identity. The aroma of coffee lingers in the air, pulling me back to the present. I pour myself a cup, the warmth of the mug grounding me as I contemplate my next moves. My hands tremble slightly as I take a sip, the bitter flavor contrasting sharply with the sweetness of the memories I hold dear. Memories of us planning retirement trips, envisioning beach houses, and spending lazy afternoons together. Yet those dreams now feel tainted, overshadowed by his betrayal. I glance outside the window, watching leaves dance in the autumn breeze. Each gust of wind feels like a reminder that change is inevitable. Perhaps this is my moment to embrace that change, to transform this pain into something powerful. I can choose to let his actions define me, or I can redefine myself entirely. I think of the younger woman who has taken his heart, the one who now occupies the space I once cherished. I feel a pang of jealousy, but it quickly morphs into something else, an understanding. She didn't take anything from me. He gave it to her willingly. But why should I let that hurt diminish my spirit? Instead, I can rise from the ashes of this heartbreak and reclaim what is rightfully mine. Draw a deep breath, feeling a sense of clarity wash over me. I could use this information not just as leverage, but as a stepping stone towards my own destiny. I could invest in myself, pursue that dream of painting I'd tucked away, or travel to places I've always wanted to see. The possibilities stretch out before me like an uncharted map, waiting for me to chart my course. My fingers glide over the papers again, and I ponder the implications of my secret. If I were to reveal the truth, what would that mean for him? Would it shock him? Would it hurt him to know that the one he left behind had always been the one holding the reins? The thought brings a smile to my lips, a flicker of satisfaction at the idea of turning the tables. Yet I am still grappling with the moral implications. Is revenge the right path? Or should I choose to rise above and simply walk away? In a world where I've often felt powerless, I now have the chance to wield power in a way that could either lift me up or drag me down. I think about legacy and the memories I want to create moving forward. I want to be remembered not for the pain he caused me, but for the strength I found within myself. As I continue to sort through the documents, I find a piece of paper that stands out. It's a letter, written in his handwriting, a remnant of a time when we were still a unit. I can't help but feel a pang of nostalgia wash over me, mixed with the sharp sting of betrayal. I read the words, recalling the love we once shared, the promises we made, and the dreams we dared to dream. But now, those words feel hollow, a ghost of a life that no longer exists. I close my eyes, letting the memories wash over me before I push them aside. I refuse to let the past dictate my future. I am not just his wife. I am a woman with my own dreams, aspirations, and goals. With renewed determination, I grab a pen and start jotting down ideas, plans, and dreams that have long been dormant. I am reclaiming my identity, my narrative. I can feel the weight of years of expectations lifting, replaced by the exhilarating prospect of self-discovery. This is my time to shine, to step into the light, and to embrace the woman I've always wanted to be. As I finish my coffee, I look out once more at the rustling leaves, a symbol of change and transformation. I know I have a choice to make, and as I breathe in the crisp air, I can feel the excitement bubbling within me. What will I do with this newfound power? The question lingers, teasing the edges of my mind. I chuckle softly, the sound surprising me. It feels good to laugh again, to feel that flicker of hope igniting within. My husband may have left me for a younger woman, but he couldn't take away my strength, my wisdom, or my ability to rewrite my own story. In this quiet house filled with memories, I am no longer just a woman scorned. I am a woman reborn. The sun breaks through the trees, casting dappled shadows on the path ahead as I walk. Each step feels like a small act of rebellion against the weight of my past. I close my eyes for a moment, letting the warmth envelop me, feeling the gentle breeze tugging at my hair, whispering promises of new beginnings. It's in these moments that I truly start to breathe again. I find myself on a familiar trail in the park, one I used to stroll with Tom. Back then I was always in his shadow, my voice drowned out by his laughter and grand plans. But today, I'm alone, and it feels liberating. I reach into my bag, pulling out my journal. It's a simple thing, but it holds the power to transform my thoughts into words. I open it and let the pen glide across the pages, pouring out everything I've kept bottled up for so long. I thought I knew who I was, I write, my heart racing as I confront the confusion that has clouded my mind. But I've lost her somewhere along the way. With each line, I unearth memories, both beautiful and painful, Memories that remind me of the woman I used to be. A vibrant spirit filled with passion and dreams, not just an extension of someone else's life. The words flow freely, and with them comes the realization that I am more than the sum of my past mistakes and heartaches. I am a woman deserving of a voice, a woman who can reclaim her narrative. Days pass, and I feel a shift within me as I reach out to old friends. I send a few texts, hesitant but hopeful, and soon find myself sitting across from Sylvia's at our favorite cafe. The familiar aroma of coffee wafts around us, mingling with laughter and conversation from nearby tables. "Remember those long talks we used to have?" she asks, her eyes sparkling with nostalgia. I nod, a smile creeping onto my face. "We had some wild dreams, didn't we?" "We still can," she says, her tone earnest. "What have you been up to?" The question hangs, in the air, heavy, yet freeing. I take a breath, feeling the warmth of the sun on my skin, even inside the cafe. "You know, I've been trying to find myself again. It's like I woke up one day and realized I'd lost my voice." Sylvia leans in, her expression softening. "You were always so full of life, so vibrant. What happened?" I pause, the memories cascading through my mind like a film reel. I spent so many years trying to be the perfect wife, the perfect partner. I lost sight of who I was because I was so focused on who I thought I should be. "Tom?" she asks gently. "Yes," I admit, the name tasting bitter on my tongue. When he left, it felt like he took everything with him. My sense of purpose, my identity. I felt invisible. "But you're not," Sylvia insists, her voice firm. "You're sitting right here and you have so much to offer. You just need to remember that. As we talk, I share my journey, the pain of betrayal, and the emptiness that followed. I watch as Sylvia's expression shifts from concern to admiration. "You're stronger than you realize," she says. "This is just the beginning. You're rediscovering your voice, and I can't wait to see where it takes you." Our conversation flows seamlessly, punctuated by laughter and the occasional comfortable silence. I feel lighter, the weight of my burdens beginning to lift. Each shared memory, each laugh, reminds me of the vibrant woman I once was, and I can almost see her, shimmering just beneath the surface. As I leave the cafe, I feel the cool breeze brush against my cheeks, a refreshing reminder of my newfound freedom. I glance back at the cafe, a sense of gratitude swelling within me. It's not just about healing, it's about embracing who I am becoming. I spend the next few days exploring new interests that I had neglected for years. I sign up for a pottery class, feeling the cool clay squish between my fingers, grounding me in the present. Each piece I create is an extension of my emotions, some smooth and beautiful, others rough and imperfect, just like me. In class, I meet a woman named Clara, who has her own story of heartache. We bond over our shared experiences, laughing and crying as we mold our clay into shapes that reflect our journeys. "It's funny," she says one day, rolling her eyes as she tries to smooth out a lopsided bowl. "I thought I'd have it, all figured out by now. Instead, I'm here, learning to make pots." I chuckle, feeling an unexpected kinship. I thought I was the only one. I thought I needed to have a perfect life. But it turns out it's okay to be a little messy. "More than okay," Clara agrees, her smile brightening the room. "It's real. We're real. As the weeks pass, I fill my journal with reflections and sketches. I write about my walks, my classes, and the simple joys of rediscovering myself. I find solace in the pages, and with every entry, I reclaim a piece of my voice that I thought I had lost forever. One evening, as I sit on my porch, watching the sun dip below the horizon, I realize how far I've come. The darkness that once clouded my heart is slowly lifting, replaced by a sense of hope and possibility. I think of the women I've met, the laughter shared, and the stories told. What if I could help others find their voices too? The thought flutters in my mind, igniting a spark of inspiration. There's a community center nearby that offers workshops for women seeking to overcome their struggles. Why not share my journey? Why not help others reclaim their narratives like I'm learning to reclaim mine? That night, I draft a proposal, my heart racing with excitement and fear. It feels like a leap into the unknown, but I know I can't go back to silence. I need to embrace this new chapter. The next morning, I walk into the community center with my proposal in hand. The sunlight streams through the windows, illuminating the space with warmth and possibility. I approach the coordinator, a kind woman named Lisa, who greets me with a welcoming smile. I'd like to propose a workshop for women, a space for us to share our stories and find our voices, I say, my voice trembling with anticipation. Lisa's eyes widen with interest. That sounds wonderful. We could definitely use something like that here. What do you have in mind? I take a deep breath, feeling the weight of my experiences behind my words. I want to create a safe space where women can come together, share their journeys, and encourage one another. We can use writing, art, and conversation to unlock our stories. As I speak, I see the spark of enthusiasm in Lisa's eyes, and it fuels my own determination. I may have lost my way, but now I'm forging a new path, one filled with purpose and connection. This is it, I think. This is how I'll reclaim my legacy. With every step, I'm not just rediscovering myself. I'm becoming a catalyst for change, a beacon of hope for others who have felt silenced. It's a journey paved with laughter, tears, and the courage to speak up, to share, and to embrace every part of who I am. The road ahead is filled with uncertainty, but one thing is clear. My voice is finally rising, and I'm ready to let it be heard. I never thought the day would come when I would be sitting in a financial advisor's office, staring at numbers and charts that felt like a foreign language. The scent of freshly brewed coffee mingled with the soft rustle of papers as I took a deep breath, trying to calm my racing heart. Just weeks ago, my life was a comfortable routine, and now it felt like everything was crumbling around me. My husband had left me for a younger woman, and I was left to pick up the shattered pieces of my life. But as I sat there, I realized that I had something he didn't know about, a secret weapon that could change everything, control of his retirement fund. "Let's start with your goals," my advisor said, breaking into my thoughts. His voice was steady, reassuring. "What do you want to achieve?" "What do I want?" The question lingered in my mind, a mix of fear and hope swirling together. I had spent decades supporting my husband, prioritizing his dreams over my own. Now, that was over. It was time to think. About me. "I want to secure my future," I replied, my voice firmer than I felt. "I want to learn how to manage this fund and make it work for me." "Excellent." He nodded, flipping to a blank page in his notebook. "Let's explore some options." As he spoke, I felt a flicker of something I hadn't experienced in a long time. Empowerment. Learning about investments, savings, and the importance of financial independence felt like reclaiming a part of myself that had been lost. Each term, each strategy, was a step toward a new direction, a new life that I was starting to envision. Now, have you considered diversifying your investments? He asked, looking up from his notes. Diversifying, I echoed, the word rolling off my tongue like a new taste. Yes, he continued. It means spreading your investments across various asset classes to minimize risk. It's about creating a balanced portfolio that aligns with your goals and comfort level. I leaned in, absorbing every word. This wasn't just about numbers. It was about my future. He explained how to allocate funds, the importance of understanding market trends, and how to make informed decisions. I felt a sense of control washing over me, like I was finally taking the reins of my life after years of being a passenger. Can we talk about my retirement fund specifically? I asked, my curiosity piqued. What are my options? Absolutely, he said, flipping back to a chart that outlined potential growth over time. We can look into fixed income investments, stocks, and even mutual funds. Each has its risks and rewards, but together, they can create a safety net for you. As he explained the intricacies, I realized I was not just learning about finance. I was learning about myself. I was discovering that I was capable of much more than I had ever believed. I found myself asking questions, wanting to dig deeper. What if I want to travel? Or maybe start a small business? I pressed. Those are fantastic aspirations, he replied, his smile broadening. Planning for those dreams requires a different strategy, but they're absolutely achievable. In that moment, I recognized that this journey was not just about securing a financial future. It was about redefining who I was. I had spent years defined by my marriage, my role as a wife. Now, I was reclaiming my identity as an individual with dreams, desires, and the ability to shape my destiny. But beneath the excitement loomed a shadow of fear. What if I failed? What if I made mistakes? The uncertainty of my future gnawed at me. I couldn't ignore the emotional landscape I was navigating alongside these financial decisions. Each investment choice I contemplated was intertwined with the heartbreak of my husband's departure. Have you thought about how this situation has affected you emotionally? My advisor asked suddenly, his tone shifting to one of genuine concern. I paused, the vulnerability of the moment catching me off guard. It's hard, I admitted, my voice trembling slightly. I feel so alone sometimes. I thought I was building a future with him, and now I have to build it by myself. That's a significant transition, he acknowledged. It's important to recognize that your emotional well-being is just as critical as your financial health. Have you considered speaking to someone about it? The suggestion hung in the air, and I nodded slowly. I hadn't thought about seeking help, but perhaps it was time to confront the emotional baggage I was carrying. I will, I promised, feeling a weight lift slightly. I want to be strong, not just financially, but emotionally. Strength is often found in vulnerability, he said, his voice warm. Remember, it's okay to ask for support. As our meeting wrapped up, I felt lighter, but also aware of the journey ahead. I had a long way to go, both financially and emotionally. But I was ready to embrace it. I was ready to learn, to grow, and to reclaim my narrative. Thank you for your guidance, I said as I stood up, my heart racing with newfound determination. I'm excited about what's next. As I walked out of the office, the world felt different. The sun shone brighter, and the weight of uncertainty was still there, but it was tinged with possibility. I was stepping into a new chapter, ready To craft a life that reflected my strength, my resilience, and my dreams. What will I discover about myself and my future as I take control? I sit in the cafe, the familiar scent of roasted coffee beans swirling around me. It's a place filled with echoes of laughter and shared moments, the kind of spot where Tom and I carved out our history. But now, the air feels thick with unspoken words and unresolved emotions. The clock ticks steadily, reminding me of the passing time, each second amplifying my racing heart. I can't hide from this moment any longer. He arrives, a shadow of the man I once knew, yet somehow altered, as if time had chipped away at him too. I take a deep breath, steadying myself. This isn't just about confronting him, it's about reclaiming my power, my voice, my life. I am not the woman he left behind. I have grown, evolved, and it's time he sees that. Tom, I begin, my voice steady, despite the trembling in my hands. Thank you for meeting me. He nods, a flicker of surprise crossing his face. The last time we were together, I was a whirlwind of hurt and confusion. Today I stand grounded, ready to express the depths of my feelings. I needed to talk to you, to share some things that have been weighing heavily on my heart. He looks at me, eyes searching for the old me, perhaps hoping to find remnants of the person he walked away from. I lean in, my gaze unwavering. When you left, I felt betrayed. It was as if the ground had fallen away beneath me. I was lost, Tom. I felt lonely in a way I never thought possible. His brow furrows, and I can see the guilt starting to settle in. Good. I want him to feel it, but it wasn't just the loss of you. It was the loss of the life we built together. All the sacrifices I made for us, the dreams we shared, just shattered. The silence stretches between us, heavy with the weight of our shared past. I can feel the tension crackling in the air, a testament to the unresolved feelings simmering just below the surface. I continue. You chose to leave for someone younger, someone who seemed to promise you a new beginning. But did you ever stop to think about what you were walking away from? What about the years we spent building a life together? The dreams we shared? His eyes widen as he shifts uncomfortably in his seat. I can see the realization dawning on him, like the slow rise of a sun after a long night. It's not just about the money, Tom. It's about the choices you made and the consequences they carry. I controlled the retirement fund. I had to ensure my future, our future, was secure. You didn't think I would just let you walk away. With everything, did you? The look on his face shifts from confusion to dawning comprehension. You knew? Yes, I did. And now, I'm reclaiming that power. I won't let you take what we built and walk away unscathed. It's not about revenge. It's about standing up for myself for the life we shared. I watch as he processes my words, the man I once loved slowly crumbling before me. I'm not the same woman you left behind, Tom. I've learned, I've grown, and I refuse to be a victim of your choices any longer. There's a flicker of regret in his eyes, and it stings like a fresh wound. But I push through the pain. I want you to understand the impact of your actions. You hurt me. Yes, but more than that, you underestimated my strength. I'm not powerless, and I won't fade into the background. He opens his mouth as if to speak, but I hold up my hand, cutting him off. This isn't about us reconciling. It's about me finding closure. I needed you to hear this, to understand the weight of what you've done. I want you to feel it, even if just for a moment. The silence that follows is deafening, filled with the unsaid, the unresolved. I can see him grappling with the reality of his choices, and for the first time in a long time, I feel a sense of liberation. I've said my piece, and in doing so, I've reclaimed my narrative. As I rise to leave, I catch his gaze, and for a moment, the past washes over us like a tide. I hope you find what you're looking for, Tom. I truly do. I step away, the weight on my shoulders feeling lighter, the burden of his betrayal no longer holding me hostage. I am free. Walking out of that cafe, I take a deep breath, the crisp air filling my lungs, a reminder that I am alive, that I have a future ahead of me. I am no longer defined by my past, nor by his choices. I am reclaiming my story, and it begins now. I sat in the quiet solitude of my living room, the echoes of a life once filled with laughter, now replaced by a haunting silence. The walls, adorned with memories, seemed to whisper secrets of the past. I had just confronted him, my husband, the man I had dedicated my life to. He had left me for a younger woman, chasing a fleeting fantasy, oblivious to the reality that I held the keys to his future, his retirement fund, carefully managed and now a symbol of my reclaimed power. In that moment of raw vulnerability, I realized that my worth was never tied to his choices, nor to the affection I once believed defined me. I had spent too long allowing my identity to be interwoven with his. Now, as I took my first steps into a new chapter, I understood that true strength comes from within. I signed up for workshops, seminars focused on personal growth and empowerment. Each session was a revelation, peeling back layers of doubt and insecurity that had accumulated like dust over the years. I learned to embrace my vulnerability as a source of strength, a lesson that resonated deeply within me. In a room filled with women, I found solace. Each story shared was a testament to resilience, a reminder that I was not alone in my struggles. As we gathered, we wove a tapestry of experiences, laughter mingling with tears, creating a community that felt like family. We were all in various stages of healing, but together, we were powerful. One evening, as I sat in a circle of women, I listened intently as Mary, a vibrant woman in her 60s, spoke of her journey through loss and rediscovery. "We're not just survivors, we're warriors," she said, her voice steady with conviction. "Every scar tells a story, and every story has the power to inspire." I felt a warmth wash over me, the kind of warmth that ignites a spark of hope. I began to share my own story, my voice trembling, at first, but growing stronger with each word. When he left, I thought my life was over. I believed I was nothing without him. But now, I see that I am everything I need to be. The nods of understanding around the circle felt like a gentle embrace. In that shared space, I found not just friendship, but a mirror reflecting my newfound identity. I realized that each of us had been molded by our experiences, and through connection, we could rise above our pasts. I started to explore the world outside my comfort zone. I attended art classes, rediscovered the joy of painting, and let my creativity spill onto the canvas. Each brushstroke became a cathartic release, a way to express the myriad of emotions swirling within me. I painted not just what I saw, but what I felt. One Saturday morning, I stood before a blank canvas, the sun streaming through the window, illuminating the space with a golden glow. As I dipped my brush into vibrant hues, I let go of the pain and betrayal. I painted wildflowers, their colors bursting forth, representing my blossoming spirit. With each stroke, I reclaimed pieces of myself that I had lost. Life took on a new rhythm, a melody of self-discovery. I explored yoga, finding peace in the flow of movement. I learned to breathe deeply, to be present, and to let go of the weight I had carried for too long. I could feel the tension uncoiling within me, replaced by a sense of calm and clarity. Meeting with my newfound friends, we explored local cafes, shared our dreams, and cheered each other on. We laughed late into the night over cups of steaming tea, reminiscing about our struggles and celebrating the small victories. I had never felt such freedom, such joy in simply being myself. One evening, as I stood on my porch, watching the sunset paint the sky in hues of orange and pink, I reflected on the journey I had taken. I had transformed my pain into purpose, my heartache into hope. The woman who once felt discarded was now a force of nature. I realized that the lessons I had learned were far greater than the betrayal I had endured. I had discovered the beauty of resilience, the importance of community, and the undeniable strength that comes from embracing one's truth. But the journey wasn't without its challenges. As I ventured deeper into this new life, I faced moments of doubt. The whispers of my past would creep in, threatening to undermine my progress. What if I am not enough? What if I fail? Yet I had learned to confront those fears head-on. I would remind myself of the women who had stood beside me, of the stories we had shared, and the strength we had cultivated together. I was not defined by my past, but by my willingness to rise above it. With each obstacle I faced, I found myself becoming more grounded in my identity. I began to advocate for other women, sharing my story publicly, encouraging them to embrace their own journeys of self-discovery. I spoke at community events, empowering others to reclaim their narratives. I want you to know, I would say to the audience, that your worth is not dictated by others. You are strong, you are capable, and you are enough. The faces, looking back at me, were filled with hope, and I felt a renewed sense of purpose surge within me. As I moved forward, I knew that my life was a canvas, still waiting to be painted. I had the power to create my own narrative, to shape my destiny. With vibrant strokes of courage and resilience, each day was a new beginning, and I was ready to embrace it fully. I had learned to forgive, not just him, but myself, for the years I had spent lost in someone else's shadow. My journey taught me that healing is not linear. It's a winding path filled with ups and downs. But each step I took brought me closer to the woman I was meant to be. In the quiet moments, I would often close my eyes and visualize my future. A future filled with laughter, adventure, and unshakable self-love. I saw myself traveling, exploring new places, and creating memories that would last a lifetime. I was no longer defined by my past. I was a woman reborn, ready to seize every opportunity that came my way. As I embraced the lessons learned, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. My life was not over. It was just beginning, and I was ready to write the next chapter with bold, beautiful strokes. I stood in the middle of what used to be our living room, the echoes of laughter and shared memories, swirling around me like dust in the sunlight. Tom's absence hung heavy in the air, his laughter, his presence, now mere shadows in the corners. I knew I needed to change that. I had spent too long feeling like a ghost in my own home. With a newfound clarity, I picked up my paintbrush and dipped it into a vibrant green, the color of renewal. Each stroke on the wall felt like an act of reclamation, a declaration that I was here, alive, and ready to embrace my identity, separate from the man who had departed. As I painted, I reflected on how much I had lost, but also what I had to gain. This home would no longer be a monument to our shared life, but a canvas for my own journey. I stepped back to admire my work, the walls now a burst of color that sang of life rather than memories of heartache. With every drop of paint, I infused my spirit into the very fibers of this house. Calming blues joined the greens, swirling together like the waves of the ocean, reminding me of the vacations I had taken with friends, the laughter shared over sunsets. I hung up pictures of my life, each frame a testament to my resilience. There was the photo from my first solo trip to the coast, a moment of triumph when I realized that I could find joy in my own company. Another picture captured the warmth of a gathering of friends, our smiles wide and genuine, a bond that had only deepened since Tom's departure. As the sun began to set, casting a golden hue across the room, I felt an overwhelming sense of peace wash over me. I was no longer a woman defined by her past, but a vibrant soul claiming her space. My home, once filled with memories of Tom, was transforming into a sanctuary that reflected my journey of growth and self-discovery. I decided to invite my friends over for a small gathering, a celebration of this new chapter. I wanted to fill the space with laughter, warmth, and the kind of joy that comes from genuine connection. I spent the next few days preparing, baking treats that filled the air with the comforting aroma of cinnamon and sugar. I arranged flowers in bright vases, their colorful blooms echoing the energy I felt surging through me. The day finally arrived, and as my friends filtered in, I felt a flutter of excitement. They marveled at the changes I had made, their eyes lighting up with admiration and warmth. "This place feels like you," one of my friends remarked, her voice filled with sincerity. "It's inviting just like you." We gathered in the living room, the laughter echoing off the freshly painted walls. I watched as my friends shared stories, the air thick with joy and camaraderie. I felt a sense of belonging wash over me, the kind I hadn't felt in years. I realized that I had not just redecorated a room, I had rekindled my spirit. Between bites of cake and sips of wine, the conversations flowed freely. "You know," another friend said, her voice softening, "it's incredible to see you like this. You've really blossomed." I smiled, a warmth spreading through my heart. "Thank you. It's been a journey, but I'm finally reclaiming my space, literally and metaphorically." The energy in the room shifted as we continued to share our lives, our dreams, and our struggles. I found myself opening up, sharing stories of my past and my hopes for the future. I spoke about the void left by Tom, but instead of sorrow, I felt empowerment. "I'm excited about what's next," I confessed, my voice steady. "I've realized that I am enough, and I can create a life that brings me joy." As the night wore on, I felt lighter, as if each laugh had lifted a weight off my shoulders. I looked around at the faces of my friends, their smiles genuine, and their support unwavering. This was my tribe, my chosen family, and I was grateful to have them in my life. With every shared story, I began to shed the remnants of the past. I realized that my journey was not just about moving forward, but also about honoring the lessons I had learned along the way. I had spent so many years in the shadows, but now I was stepping into the light, ready to embrace the possibilities ahead. As the evening drew to a close, I felt a sense of accomplishment wash over me. This act of reclamation had not just transformed my home, it had transformed me. I had created a space that reflected my essence, a sanctuary where I could explore who I was, free from the constraints of my past. In the days that followed, I continued to nurture this new energy in my home. I filled it with plants that thrived under my care, each leaf a symbol of my resilience. I rearranged furniture, making space for new beginnings, and decorated with trinkets that told my story, each piece a reminder of the strength that lay within me. I began to invite more friends over, hosting game nights and movie marathons, filling the walls with laughter and love. I noticed how the energy shifted with each gathering. The house felt alive, a reflection of my spirit. I was no longer just existing. I was living, embracing every moment as a gift. And in the quiet hours when the world outside faded away, I found comfort in solitude. I would sit in my newly decorated living room, sipping tea and reflecting on my journey. I thought of Tom, the life we built, and all that had changed. But instead of bitterness, I felt gratitude. He had pushed me to discover who I was outside of our marriage, and for that, I would always be thankful. In reclaiming my space, I had also reclaimed my power. I was no longer bound to someone else's narrative. I was writing my own story, one brushstroke at a time. I had learned to find joy in the simple moments, to embrace the freedom that came with self-acceptance. As I looked around my home, I felt a sense of pride swell within me. This was my sanctuary, my refuge. I was finally at home in my own skin, and I was ready to embrace whatever came next. I had spent so many years wrapped up in the life I thought I wanted, a life I thought I understood. But now, with the remnants of that old life still echoing in my heart, I felt a strange exhilaration. As I stepped into the world of new possibilities, the sun was setting, casting a warm glow over the community center as I walked through the doors, ready to embrace what lay ahead. Joining community groups felt like a leap into the unknown. But with each gathering, I discovered a vibrant tapestry of stories, laughter, and shared experiences. I found myself gravitating toward the art classes, a place where creativity flowed freely and the weight of my past felt lighter. The smell of paint and the sound of laughter filled the air, and in this space, I began to reclaim parts of myself that I thought I had lost forever. Each stroke of the brush on canvas became a metaphor for my journey, each color a representation of the emotions I was learning to embrace. I discovered that art wasn't just a hobby, it was a vehicle for my healing. I met others who had their own struggles, their own stories of loss and hope, and through these connections, I started to weave a new narrative for myself. One evening, at a community art show, I stood admiring a piece that spoke to me, a swirling mix of blues and greens that captured the essence of a stormy sea. I felt a gentle nudge on my elbow and turned to find a man beside me, his eyes sparkling with genuine curiosity. "Isn't it beautiful?" he asked, nodding toward the painting. "Yes, it feels alive," I replied, surprised at how easily the words flowed. "I think it speaks to the struggle between chaos and calm," he said thoughtfully. "Much like life, don't you think?" I smiled, intrigued by his perspective. "Absolutely. It reminds me that even in the midst of turmoil, there's beauty to be found." He introduced himself as David, and as we talked, I felt an unexpected spark of connection. His kindness was palpable, and he listened intently as I shared snippets of my journey, the heartbreak, the resilience, the rediscovery of joy. I didn't hold back. Each word felt like a release of the weight I had carried for too long. "You have a remarkable strength," David said, his voice warm and encouraging. "It's inspiring to hear how you're moving forward." As the evening unfolded, we wandered through the gallery, sharing our thoughts on each piece, our laughter mingling with the ambiance of creativity. I realized that opening my heart to new friendships didn't mean I was forgetting my past. It meant I was allowing it to shape me into someone new. After the show, We exchanged numbers, and I felt a flutter of excitement. The idea of nurturing a new friendship felt foreign, yet exhilarating. I had spent so long trying to fit myself into a mold defined by my marriage that the thought of exploring a connection with someone like David felt liberating. The next few weeks flew by, filled with art classes and community events. Each gathering became a reminder that life was still vibrant and full of promise. I became more involved, volunteering at local shelters and participating in neighborhood cleanups. With every interaction, I found joy in connecting with others, each person revealing their own unique journey and perspective. In those moments, I began to see love and companionship in a new light, not as replacements for what I had lost, but as enrichments to my life. David and I grew closer, sharing cups of coffee and laughter, deep conversations that lingered long after we said goodbye. He understood the complexities of life and was unafraid to share his own struggles and triumphs, creating a safe space for both of us to be vulnerable. One afternoon, as we strolled through a local park, I paused to appreciate the beauty around us, the vibrant colors of the flowers, the laughter of children playing, the gentle rustle of leaves in the breeze. It's amazing how much beauty is everywhere, isn't it? I mused, glancing at David. He nodded, his expression thoughtful. Life has a way of surprising us, especially when we least expect it. Sometimes we just need to look a little closer. His words resonated deeply within me. I had spent so long feeling lost and abandoned, yet here I was, finding joy in the small things, in the connections I was building. And suddenly, the thought of love didn't feel like a burden, but a possibility, a beautiful addition to the life I was creating. As summer faded into fall, I found myself reflecting on the journey I had been on. I had learned that grief and joy could coexist, that my past was not something to be erased but embraced. Each memory, each lesson, had shaped me into the person I was becoming. One evening, as I prepared for another art class, I lingered over my palette, contemplating the colors before me. I realized I was no longer painting to fill a void or escape my reality. I was painting to express my newfound freedom, to celebrate the life I was crafting with each brushstroke. David's voice echoed in my mind, reminding me of the beauty that existed in unexpected places. I smiled at the thought of him, how he had become a part of my journey, not as a replacement for what I had lost, but as a companion in this new chapter. I was learning to honor my past while embracing the possibilities ahead. I felt a sense of peace wash over me, a quiet confidence that no matter what lay in store, I had the strength to face it. With each passing day, I was transforming, no longer defined by the choices of others, but empowered by my own. I was building connections that felt genuine and real, and for the first time in a long while, I was excited about what the future might hold. Would I find love again? I didn't know. But I was ready to explore the journey, one brushstroke at a time. I never imagined that my life would change so drastically at this age. After decades of being a devoted wife, I suddenly found myself alone, thrust into a world that seemed determined to label me as fragile and incapable. The whispers in the grocery store, the side glances from neighbors, even the well-meaning but patronizing remarks from family members. They all painted a picture of an older woman who should just fade into the background. But I was no fragile flower. I was a force of nature. I remember the first time I walked into my community center after the divorce. The walls were painted a cheerful yellow, filled with the laughter of children in the adjoining room. Instead of feeling welcomed, I felt the weight of judgment, As I moved through the space, I could almost hear the thoughts of others, echoing in my mind. What can she possibly know about starting over? She's too old for that. But deep inside, something stirred. I had spent years supporting my husband, my children, and everyone around me, while slowly losing sight of my own ambitions. I realized that if I didn't take a stand, I would be letting society dictate my worth. I refused to be defined by my age or my past. It wasn't just about me. I began to see the faces of other women in my community who were bearing the same, quiet burdens. Women who had built lives around others, only to find themselves cast aside when they no longer fit someone else's narrative. I decided it was time to give these women a voice. I set up a meeting with the community center to organize an event focused on empowering older adults. I remember my heart racing as I walked into the office, my palms sweaty with nerves. But the center director, a kind woman named Linda, listened intently as I shared my vision. I want to bring women together to share their stories and to show that we are not finished yet, I said, my voice firm despite my anxiety. Linda smiled, and with her encouragement, I began to reach out to potential speakers. I found women who had overcome incredible odds, women who had started businesses in their 60s, and those who had found love again after loss. Each story was a testament to resilience, echoing the strength I was beginning to feel within myself. As the event day approached, I faced my own insecurities. I couldn't help but wonder if anyone would show up. Would they see the value in what we were trying to accomplish? I worried that perhaps I was just a fool, believing I could change perceptions that had been ingrained for generations. But on the day of the event, I walked into the community center, and my breath caught in my throat. The room was filled with women of all ages, their faces lit with anticipation. I could feel the electricity in the air, the shared understanding that we were all there to reclaim our narratives. I stood at the front of the room, my heart pounding, and I took a deep breath. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here and for taking this step with me. Today, we are not just sharing stories. We are creating a movement. My voice steadied as I spoke, and I could see nods of agreement ripple through the crowd. As the stories unfolded, I was mesmerized by the sheer bravery of the women who stood before us. One woman spoke of how she pursued her passion for painting at 70. Another shared her journey of launching a successful catering business after her children had left home. Each story was more powerful than the last, a tapestry of resilience and hope woven together in that room. When it came time for audience participation, I invited others to share their experiences. Women stood up, their voices shaking at first, but growing stronger with each word. Stories of heartbreak, triumph, and rediscovery flowed like a river through the room. We laughed, we cried, and in those moments, I felt a profound sense of belonging. After the event, as I cleaned up the leftover refreshments, I overheard two women talking. "I didn't realize how much I needed this," one said, her voice thick with emotion. "I thought I was alone." The other woman nodded, her eyes glistening. "Me too. I'm grateful to have heard these stories. They inspire me to take my own leap." That was when it hit me. We were not just gathering for ourselves. We were creating a ripple effect. Each woman who walked away from that event carried a piece of our collective strength with her. This was the beginning of something bigger than I had imagined, a movement that would challenge the stereotypes that had held us captive for so long. As I left the community center that day, I felt a sense of purpose wash over me. I was no longer the invisible woman living in the shadows of my husband's life. I was reclaiming my narrative, And in doing so, I was helping others to do the same. I refused to let society's judgments dictate who I was or who I could become. In the following weeks, I organized more events, creating spaces for discussion, workshops, and even art shows, showcasing the work of older women. Each gathering was a celebration of life and resilience. The more I ventured into this new role, the more I found myself. I began to embrace the facets of myself I had long buried. I rediscovered my love for painting and took classes at the local community college. I even started writing again, pouring my heart onto the pages of my notebook. My experiences, once a source of shame, transformed into powerful stories of growth and empowerment. As I navigated this new life, I encountered challenges that tested my resolve. Some people still clung to their outdated notions about older women, but I learned to confront those judgments head-on. I would often engage in conversations where I shared my experiences, challenging their perceptions in a way that was both gentle and firm. Age is just a number, I would say, looking them in the eye. What matters is the fire inside you and the dreams you still hold. With each encounter, I could see the flicker of understanding in their eyes. I realized that by advocating for myself, I was also advocating for others who felt marginalized or overlooked. Each story I shared became a spark, igniting a broader conversation about ageism and the value of older women in society. The movement we created began to gain traction, and soon, local media caught wind of our events. Interviews, articles, and social media posts spread the message further, and I found myself at the helm of a growing community. People reached out to me, sharing their stories and expressing their gratitude for the safe spaces we had created. In those moments, I felt an overwhelming sense of pride. I was not just an old woman with a broken heart. I was part of a collective force, redefining what it meant to age with grace and purpose. We were showing the world that age does not diminish our worth. It enhances it. Our experiences, our wisdom, and our strength were invaluable. As I stood before the community at our most recent event, I couldn't help but reflect on how far I had come. I was no longer a woman defined by her past. I was a woman who had embraced her journey, transforming heartbreak into empowerment. I looked out at the faces of the women who had joined me on this path and felt a swell of gratitude. Together, we are a force to be reckoned with, I declared. Let's continue to uplift one another and rewrite our stories, proving that our worth only grows with age. The room erupted in applause, and in that moment I understood the power of community. We were not just fighting against societal judgments. We were creating a legacy of strength that would inspire generations to come. It's a beautiful Saturday morning, the sunlight spilling into my cozy kitchen as I sip on my steaming cup of tea. The aroma of freshly baked scones lingers in the thaw air, and I feel a sense of peace I haven't known in a long time. I glance at my phone, a smile creeping onto my face as I see a message from David. He's always so thoughtful, checking in to see how my day is going. I remember the days when my life revolved around Tom, his needs, his dreams, his desires. It's hard to believe that I allowed myself to fade into the background for so long. Now, I'm stepping into the light, embracing my own passions, and pursuing what truly matters to me. My heart swells with gratitude. David and I have been exploring the world together, hiking in the nearby mountains, wandering through art galleries, and even volunteering at the local shelter. Each experience brings us closer, forging a bond built on mutual respect and understanding. I cherish how he encourages my advocacy work, reminding me that my voice matters and that I can make a difference. Can you believe it? I say to him one afternoon as we sit on a park bench, the leaves fluttering in the gentle breeze. Just a year ago, I was lost, unsure of who I was without Tom. And now, here I am, advocating for women's rights, speaking out against injustices. I feel like I've finally found my purpose. David looks at me with warmth in his eyes. You're amazing. You've turned your pain into power. And that's inspiring. It's not just about supporting others. It's about reclaiming your life. His words resonate within me. I've transformed from the hurt woman I once was into a force to be reckoned with. I'm not just Tom's wife anymore. I'm me. A woman with a story. A legacy of resilience and dreams that stretch far beyond what I thought possible. As I reflect on my journey, I think about the moments that brought me to this place. Sitting in the courtroom, fighting for my rights, advocating for others who felt voiceless. Each step along the way has been a testament to my strength, my determination to rise above the ashes of betrayal. But it's not just the advocacy that fills me with joy. It's the little things. The way David laughs at my terrible jokes. How he listens with genuine interest as I share my ideas. And how he respects my independence. It's a refreshing dynamic. One that feels both fulfilling and uplifting. I've learned that love doesn't have to be about dependency. It can be about enhancement. About building each other up. One evening, as the sun sets and paints the sky in hues of orange and pink, David and I sit on my porch, talking about our dreams. "What do you see for yourself in 5 years?" he asks, his voice soft but curious. "I want to continue my advocacy work, maybe even start a foundation," I reply, my heart racing at the thought. I want to empower women to reclaim their stories, to help them find their voices. I want to make sure no one feels invisible like I once did. He nods, a smile spreading across his face. "You can absolutely do that. You have a gift for connecting with people, and your passion is contagious. I'd love to be a part of it." I look at him, feeling a swell of affection. Here's a man who believes in me, who sees me as I am. Flaws, strengths, and all. It's a profound feeling, knowing that I'm not merely a shadow of my past, but a vibrant individual capable of creating change. As days turn into weeks, I find myself immersed in my new life. I attend workshops, meet with other advocates, and share my journey on social media. My following grows, as do the stories of women reaching out to me for support. Each message reinforces my belief that we are stronger together, that our collective voices can shake the foundations of injustice. But amidst the whirlwind of activity, I also take time to nurture my relationship with David. We share quiet moments, exploring the beauty of simplicity, cooking dinner together, taking long walks, and even binge-watching our favorite shows, wrapped in a blanket. One night, as we cuddle on the couch, I find myself lost in thought. "You know," I say, breaking the comfortable silence. "It's been a while since I've felt so at peace. I'm not just finding my voice, I'm finding my joy." David turns to me, his expression serious yet kind. "You deserve every bit of it. Just remember, it's okay to lean on someone else sometimes. You don't have to do it all alone." His words echo in my mind. Leaning on someone. What a foreign concept that used to be for me. I had built walls so high after Tom's betrayal that I forgot vulnerability could be a source of strength. With David, I feel safe. I feel seen. As I navigate this new chapter, I often think of my past. The heartbreak, the betrayal, the feelings of inadequacy. I've come so far from that woman who felt discarded. I've embraced my identity. turning my pain into a powerful narrative of hope. In the following months, I organized local meetups for women, creating a safe space for them to share their stories. The gatherings are filled with laughter, tears, and moments of clarity. Each woman who walks through the door brings with her a unique experience, and together we weave a tapestry of strength and resilience. One evening, a woman named Sarah stands up to speak. Her voice trembles as she recounts her struggles, but her courage shines through. I can see the other women leaning in, connecting with her story. I feel a wave of pride wash over me. This is what I wanted to create, a community of support and empowerment. After the meeting, Sarah approaches me, tears in her eyes. Thank you for creating this space. I've never felt so heard. It's like I'm not alone anymore. I pull her into a comforting embrace. You're never alone, Sarah. We're all in this together. As I continue to build this community, David remains my steadfast supporter. He attends events, shares my posts, and even helps me brainstorm ideas for workshops. Together, we create a beautiful dynamic, one rooted in support and understanding. 1. Saturday, as we stroll through a local farmer's market, I can't help but feel a sense of belonging. The vibrant colors of fresh produce, the laughter of children, and the scent of flowers remind me of the simple joys in life. I look at David, who's haggling with a vendor over the price of tomatoes, and I can't help but smile. Do you think we could have a booth here one day? I ask, my heart racing with excitement. Maybe we could sell handmade crafts, or even promote our advocacy work. He turns to me, his eyes sparkling. Why not? We could set up a space for women to share their stories right here. It could be a gathering point, a place for connection. The idea ignites something within me, a spark of inspiration. We could turn this market into more than just a place for shopping. It could be a space for healing and empowerment. As I reflect on the joy of creating, I can't help but think about how far I've come. I'm no longer defined by my past. I carry my story with pride, using it as a beacon for others. I'm building a legacy that transcends my experiences, a legacy of courage, strength, and transformation. With David by my side, I feel excited for the future. I think about the lives we could touch, the change we could inspire. This new chapter isn't just about moving on. It's about moving forward, embracing every opportunity and challenge that comes my way. I take a deep breath, feeling a sense of peace wash over me. I'm ready to embrace whatever lies ahead, knowing that I am not alone. Together we are creating a brighter future, not just for ourselves, but for everyone who needs to find their voice. As I look ahead, I can't help but wonder, what else is possible? What new adventures await us? The world is wide open, and I'm ready to step into it with both feet, hand in hand with the man who believes in me. I never imagined that my life would turn into the story of a woman scorned, a tale marked by betrayal and heartbreak. When my husband left me for a younger woman, I felt invisible, as if my years of love and devotion had vanished overnight. But beneath that pain lay a fire that refused to be extinguished. I discovered my voice in the silence of my solitude, the kind of voice that demanded to be heard. So I decided to write a book, not just about my journey, but about all the women who felt unseen, unheard, and unworthy. As I sat at my old wooden desk, the familiar scent of aged paper surrounding me, I poured my heart onto the pages. Each word was a release, each chapter a step toward healing. I wanted to transform my pain into purpose, to share the lessons I had learned about love, loss, and self-discovery. It was more than just my story. It was a collective narrative of resilience and empowerment. I could still hear the echoes of laughter from my book club meetings, the warm camaraderie that had once felt like home. I wanted to recreate that atmosphere, a space where women could gather, share, and uplift each other. As I wrote, I remembered the evenings spent with friends, discussing books that inspired us, stories that made us feel alive. I envisioned a launch event for my book, a celebration of not just my journey, but the journeys of countless women who had fought their battles in silence. With every keystroke, I felt a weight lift. I wrote about the moments of despair, the nights spent wondering what I had done wrong, and the eventual realization that I had not failed. I had simply been living my truth while he chose to follow a fleeting fantasy. My story was a tapestry, woven from threads of joy and sorrow, and as I stitched it together, I saw a pattern emerge, one of strength, hope, and transformation. The book began to take shape, each chapter a testament to my evolution. I wrote about the importance of self-love, the necessity of reclaiming one's narrative. I shared intimate details about my journey of self-discovery, exploring the depths of my identity that had been overshadowed for years. It became clear to me that my story was not just mine. It belonged to anyone who had ever felt lost in the shadows of someone else. Then came the day when my manuscript was finally ready. I could hardly contain my excitement and trepidation as I held the printed pages in my hands, the culmination of my labor and love. I envisioned the launch event, a room filled with women from all walks of life, each carrying their own stories of struggle and triumph. I wanted to create an atmosphere where we could connect, share, and empower one another, a sanctuary where our voices could rise above the noise of judgment and comparison. As the event day approached, I meticulously planned every detail. I wanted it to be more than a book launch. It was to be a celebration of our collective resilience. I reached out to women in my community, inviting them to join me, to share their experiences, and to connect with one another. I imagined the room filled with laughter, tears, and heartfelt conversations, a tapestry of stories intertwining to form a powerful narrative of empowerment. On the day of the launch, I stood before a sea of familiar and unfamiliar faces, a mix of vulnerability and strength swirling inside me. As I spoke about my journey, I saw nods of understanding and recognition ripple through the crowd. Women began to share their own stories, their own struggles, stories that mirrored mine in ways I couldn't have anticipated. Each shared experience was a thread that connected us, weaving a fabric of solidarity and support. I realized then that my book was not just a reflection of my journey, but a catalyst for others to reclaim their narratives. It was about giving women the space to be heard, to feel seen, and to recognize their worth. The room buzzed with a sense of empowerment, a reminder that we were never alone in our struggles. As the event came to a close, I felt a profound sense of fulfillment. I had transformed my pain into purpose, and in doing so, I had not only healed myself but had helped others to begin their own healing journeys. I understood now that sharing our stories was an act of courage, a step towards breaking the silence that often surrounds our struggles. In the weeks that followed, I received countless messages from women who had attended the launch, each one echoing the sentiments of empowerment and connection we had cultivated that day. They told me how my words resonated with their own experiences, how they felt inspired to embrace their narratives and share their truths. I was reminded of the importance of storytelling, not just as a means of personal healing, but as a way to create community and foster understanding. Writing had become my lifeline, a way to navigate the complexities of my emotions, and find clarity in chaos. I realized that through my journey, I had not only discovered my voice, but had also helped others find theirs. I had unearthed a power within me that I never knew existed, a power that came from vulnerability and authenticity. As I reflect on this chapter of my life, I understand that empowerment comes in many forms. It comes from sharing our stories, from connecting with one another, and from standing together in our truth. My book may have started as a personal endeavor, but it blossomed into something far greater, a celebration of the resilience of women everywhere, a testament to the strength we possess when we lift each other up. I had embarked on this journey to heal myself, but what I found was a community of women ready to reclaim their narratives and embrace their stories. And in that connection, I found not only healing but also hope. A hope that our voices could echo through the ages, inspiring generations to come. What if in sharing our stories we could change the world around us? As I sit here, reflecting on the winding path that has brought me to this moment, I realize that my story is not just mine. It is a legacy of strength, resilience, and hope. It's a truth I carry deep within me, echoing through the years of my life. I was once a woman who felt lost and invisible, overshadowed by a world that seemed to favor youth and beauty over wisdom and experience. But through the pain of betrayal, I unearthed a new purpose, a calling to empower others, particularly young women who might find themselves in similar positions. I remember the day when I first envisioned a community initiative, a safe haven for young women to learn about financial independence and self-worth. I wanted to create a space where they could gather, share their stories, and build each other up rather than tear one another down. I envisioned workshops filled with laughter and learning, where I could share my knowledge, lessons learned from years of navigating the treacherous waters of life, love, and loss. What if, instead of feeling invisible, they could see their worth? In the first workshop I organized, the room buzzed with anticipation. I stood before them, my heart pounding as I looked into the eager faces of these young women. I felt a sense of responsibility wash over me, as if the weight of my past had transformed into a powerful force for change. I began to speak, sharing my story, the moments of heartbreak intertwined with the lessons I had learned about financial independence. "Ladies," I said, my voice steady yet filled with emotion, "your worth is not defined by who loves you or how you look. It's about understanding your value and taking control of your life." I could see the spark in their eyes as they absorbed my words. Some nodded while others leaned in closer, as if my story could somehow illuminate their own paths. I shared practical advice on managing finances, building credit, and investing in their futures. I wanted them to know that they could stand on their own, that they could be strong, capable, and unshakable. Each workshop became a tapestry of shared experiences, where vulnerability met empowerment. I watched as the women began to share their own stories, their struggles and triumphs, flowing freely. It filled me with joy to see them embrace their identities, to see them grow into the women they were meant to be. In those moments, I felt my heart swell with pride, knowing that I was contributing to something bigger than myself. Every time I received a message from a woman who attended my workshop, telling me how she had started saving for her future, or had the courage to leave a toxic relationship, I was reminded of why I started this journey. I was not just teaching financial literacy. I was fostering a community of support and sisterhood. We were breaking the chains of societal expectations together. As I stood in front of them one day, I shared a personal reflection. I've learned that our experiences shape us, but they do not define us. Each of you has the power to write your own story. You are not just a reflection of your past. You are the author of your future. Tears filled my eyes as I saw some of them wipe away their own. It was a moment of pure connection, a realization that we all shared the same fears and hopes. This wasn't just about me anymore. It was about us. I often found myself in deep introspection, considering the legacy I wished to leave behind. I wanted to create ripples of change, to inspire future generations to lift one another up, rather than compete against each other. I dreamed of a world where women would stand together, breaking free from the confines of societal norms that dictated how we should act, look, or feel. The initiative grew beyond my expectations, evolving into mentorship programs where women could support each other in various aspects of life. We organized book clubs, financial planning sessions, and even wellness retreats. Each gathering was infused with laughter, tears, and the kind of real conversations that brought us closer together. One evening, as I sat down with a group of young women in a cozy cafe, a spirited discussion erupted about pursuing dreams and overcoming obstacles. "You have to own your narrative," I urged them. "Don't let anyone else dictate your worth. You are so much more than what the world sees." "Absolutely," one young woman exclaimed, her face lighting up. "I've always felt pressured to fit in, but I want to break free from that mold. I want to be authentically me." Her words resonated deeply with me. I had felt that pressure too, and yet, here we were, creating a space where we could be unapologetically ourselves. The energy in that cafe was electric, filled with the promise of possibility. These moments fueled my spirit, reminding me that I was not just surviving. I was thriving. I began to realize that my journey was not simply about healing my own wounds, but about creating a legacy that would inspire others to find their strength. I wanted to ensure that the next generation of women would never feel the way I did, lost, invisible, and without a voice. With every initiative I led, I felt the weight of my past transform into a powerful force for change. The pain I once carried became a driving force, pushing me to forge ahead and uplift those around me. I understood that the scars I bore were not just reminders of what I had endured, but badges of the honor that signified my resilience. As I watched these young women flourish, stepping into their power, my heart swelled with pride. I could see them becoming leaders in their own right, taking the lessons learned and passing them on to others. It was a beautiful cycle of empowerment that filled me with purpose. And in that moment, I knew that my legacy was one of resilience, empowerment, and love. I envisioned a world where women would support one another, breaking the chains of societal expectations that had long held us back. Together we could create a movement, one that would echo through generations, instilling confidence in young girls and women everywhere. What began as my own story of heartbreak had transformed into a symphony of voices, each note resonating with strength and solidarity. As I stood before a room filled with women, I realized that I had found my calling. This was where I belonged, and this was my legacy, a legacy of strength, resilience, and love that would inspire generations to come. As I stand at the threshold of this new chapter, I can feel the weight of my past loosening its grip on my heart. The journey I've taken has been long and winding, filled with abrupt turns that have shaped me into the woman I am today. I've learned that life is a series of transformations, each one a brushstroke on the canvas of my existence. The vibrant colors of my experiences blend together, creating a masterpiece that reflects both joy and sorrow. Aging, once a source of fear, has become a badge of honor. I've come to appreciate the beauty in the lines that etch my face, each one a testament to laughter, heartache, and resilience. Wisdom seeps from my pores, and I find strength in my vulnerability. I realize now that my past, while painful, has carved out an understanding of life that is both profound and liberating. David has walked into my life like a gentle breeze on a hot day, bringing warmth and companionship that I thought had vanished with my youth. Our relationship is a tapestry woven with threads of respect and understanding. We share stories over cups of coffee, our laughter echoing like music in the air. Together we explore new adventures, each outing a reminder that life still holds surprises. We travel to places I've always dreamed of visiting, like the quaint coastal town where the waves kiss the shore and the sunsets paint the sky in hues of orange and pink. I remember standing on that beach, the salty air dancing around me, feeling as if I were finally free. The ocean called to me, a reminder of the vastness of life, and I welcomed it with open arms. David and I strolled along the shoreline, our feet sinking into the sand, the rhythm of the waves matching the beat of our hearts. In moments like these, I find solace, knowing that I am not defined by the shadows of my past, but rather by the light I choose to embrace. One afternoon, as we sat on a weathered bench overlooking the sea, David turned to me with a smile that lit up his eyes. "What's next for you?" he asked, his voice filled with genuine curiosity. I paused, contemplating the question. What was next? My mind danced with possibilities, each one more tantalizing than the last. I could feel the excitement bubbling within me, a reminder that I was still capable of dreaming. "I think I'd like to write," I replied, the words spilling from my lips like a long-held secret. I want to share my story, the lessons I've learned, the love I've found, and the strength I've discovered within myself. David nodded, his expression encouraging. "You should. Your story deserves to be told," he said, his voice steady and reassuring. In that moment, I felt a spark of inspiration igniting within me, a whisper urging me to take the leap. The thought of writing both thrilled and terrified me. What if no one cared? What if my words fell flat? But then I remembered the power of storytelling, the way it can connect us, heal us, and transform our experiences into something beautiful. I could no longer allow fear to hold me back. I was a woman of resilience, ready to face whatever life throws my way. As I embraced this new vision of my future, I reflected on the relationships I had nurtured over the years. My friendships, too, had deepened, each one a lifeline during the stormy seas of my past. I had learned to cultivate connections with those who uplift me, who challenge me, and who mirror the strength I've discovered in myself. I began to host small gatherings in my home, inviting friends to share stories, laughter, and meals. Each gathering became a celebration of life, a testament to the bonds we create. In the evenings, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of twilight, I would sit on my porch with a glass of wine, reflecting on the day. I felt a profound sense of peace settle over me, washing away the remnants of regret and sorrow. My past would always be a part of me, but it no longer defined who I was. I was carving out a legacy, one that spoke of transformation and hope. One evening, as I flipped through an old photo album, nostalgia washed over me. I found images of my younger self, vibrant and full of dreams. It was a bittersweet reminder of the girl I once was. But instead of sadness, I felt gratitude. Each photograph captured a fleeting moment, a memory that had shaped my journey. I realized that those memories were not chains binding me to the past, but rather stepping stones leading me toward the future. With each passing day, I felt more alive, more connected to the world around me. I began volunteering at a local community center, sharing my experiences with younger generations. I wanted to instill in them the belief that they, too, could embrace change and find strength in their vulnerability. I saw myself reflected in their eager faces, and it filled my heart with joy to know that I could make a difference. As I look toward the horizon, I am filled with hope and excitement. My story is far from over. It's just beginning. I want to explore the world with David, to create new memories and experiences that will enrich our lives. The idea of traveling to distant lands, tasting new cuisines, and immersing ourselves in different cultures ignites a fire within me. I envision us walking through bustling markets, marveling at ancient architecture, and sharing quiet moments under starlit skies. Each day is a blank page in my unwritten story, and I am ready to fill it with vibrant colors and rich experiences. I cherish the relationships I've built, the lessons I've learned, and the love that continues to blossom in my life. I stand firm in my belief that the future holds endless possibilities, and I am prepared to embrace every single one. I take a deep breath, feeling the crisp air fill my lungs, and I smile. This is my time. This is my moment. The horizon calls to me, and I am ready to answer.